Welcome. You've tuned into the Janie Mack Has Your Back podcast, brought to you by Agashell.
Good choice. Now go grab your favorite beverage, go for a walk, or pretend you're working and keep smiling away at your boss as we dive into conversations about things that matter.
Or not.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the Janie Mack Has Your Back episode. And as always, we are your hosts. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Aga. Agashell.
Yes, and I'm Agakura, and we are going to dive into a conversation about ready or not, what to do when you feel that your surroundings or your audience or maybe the world is not ready for what you have to offer. So, Michelle,
Yes, oh God.
what's your experience with this?
Oh, well, actually, I'm just going to add in as well that actually, because we do our people may already guess, right? And actually, at the minute that they're touring, it's the Fugees from the song "The Fugees," Ready or Not.
Yes.
So, just in case people didn't guess, it's my experience of that. Oh, being ready or not. Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, recently, both, and we've said this before, both of us are um, coaches. We are coaches. We are accredited coaches and also accredited neuro-linguistic programming masters. You've recently as well done another course just to increase your knowledge of coaching as well and getting out there. I guess in my circumstances and over the last few months, probably, I was all ready to go. I was ready. And I have a full-time job, but even so, I was like, right, I'm definitely going to do this and I'm going to do my coaching part-time. And then over the last few months, it's been like, second guessing myself again. And even when I was going through the coaching, like lessons and stuff and the training, I kind of had that feeling because we get on live sessions and dead nervous. And I mean, it was every time you got on, it was fine, right? Because you were on the same course. But yeah, it's creeped back in again. And I think it's that self-doubt, not having, the confidence, I guess. And then I also feel, I don't know, is it like, we call them limiting beliefs in coaching, right? And a limiting belief of you can't, like, it could be fear of success, it could be fear of failure, it could be nervousness, anxiety about putting yourself out there on social media or whatever. And I don't know if it's that, so it's kind of like, but it's crept back in, like I was ready and I'm just procrastinating on it. And again, is it procrastination? I don't know, but and then it's like the song lyrics are "Ready or Not, Here I Come. You can't hide. I'm gonna find you and make you want me." So it's almost like, do you know what? And we spoke about it. It's almost like I care too much about what people think. It's almost like I'm going to put myself out there. Oh, what if they don't like me? Oh, you know what I mean? It's like those thoughts. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We do have to be mindful of people's circumstances or whatever and what we're putting out there. But what does it matter? If the people that do like it, they'll come to you. And the people that don't, that's cool, right? It's a choice. So what is stopping me? I don't, what about you? How are you feeling about that, ready or not kind of situation?
I feel that I've heard on several occasions, like, yeah, it's a good thing, but I don't know if people are ready for this. So, and the first one was when I went into classical singing and I was wanting to um, just organize a concert in Nairobi, which is the capital of Kenya, where my parents lived. And um, there were some people who were like, yeah, it's a good idea, it's good, but people are maybe not ready for that kind of music. People go more for another kind of music and so on and so forth. And there was this moment where I felt like it could have stopped me, but because it was like, well, but that's what I'm studying, that's my field. And the moment I went into that and just went ahead and did it, there were so many people who were actually thankful for that. And I ended up also having the opportunity to do some education around classical music, like just talk about some composers. I was invited with my colleague who's a pianist. We were invited to a school and could talk about composers and their background and so on and so forth. So sometimes maybe it may feel like you're not going with the vibe of the time, but if you're convinced of what you have to offer and what it is that drives you, I do believe that you should still go ahead. I mean, you will know, like if you have a business idea, and then, for example, I don't know, you want to maybe bring food from your country or your region to another one, and okay, if people end up not responding to that, then okay, you can still change. But if you feel like um it could be something that people actually want and go for, then good for you. You've just introduced people to something that they didn't know they wanted. And it's the
Mm.
same with coaching. Like where I live in France, um, many people, when I say that I'm a coach, they associate it with being a sports coach. And I sometimes think, have you looked at my hips? I'm not. I'm not gonna run.
Childbearing hips, my dear, childbearing hips.
Exactly, but not the Olympic whatever jump whatever hips, and that's okay. I'm saying that with really love and acceptance. There is, um, but I'll be like, honestly, um, but then when I get the chance to explain, they're like, okay, that's what you do. You help people maybe clarify their goals or get rid of some thought patterns or beliefs that don't serve them, or set goals and just make a plan and go for them. That is something that's a new concept, and some people will be like, even I'm going to say, even from the job agency, I have this lady who's really worried, like, have you made a market research? Do you know whether there are people who can actually survive on coaching? I'm like, um, but
Hello, some of
she's coming
yeah.
from another place. So it could be that you feel that your um how do you say, your environment is maybe not ready for you and what you have to offer or how you do things. But I do think that it's always worth doing it, because from there something else may be born. Maybe in many times people will be like, wow, I love this. But um in sometimes when you feel like it's not getting the response, you can tweak it and something else will be born from that, but it's always worth going for it.
Yes. And made me like smile there because I was thinking of the actual Tony Robbins there, and that person just going, hello, hello, what the hell? It was so funny, right? Um, just mental. And Tony Robbins is like one of the biggest. People pay like millions for him to go see him. And he is the world's biggest life coach ever. And he has businesses left, right, and center everywhere. So he is so good. So that just made me laugh. And I think as well, it was just I think if you have a dream and stuff like that, it's like the why. So like connecting with your why keeps you going, reconnecting, because I know you've done that recently as well. Just that you know, because sometimes what happens is, especially in coaching, what we do in coaching is it's probably one of the first things that we do would be to elicit your values. So what's important to you, your top 3 or your top 5. And then that really helps you to really go, oh, hey, what's my situation at the moment? And actually, what am I doing at the moment that connects me with what I want to do with my life? And is it serving me? Why am I unhappy, or why am I not actually jumping and doing the success or having the success that I want, whatever success looks like to me? And then you connect with the whys behind that. So once you know your values, you can go, actually, my job doesn't align to that. It's actually like soul destroying to me. So I'm not saying to go out there and give up your job once you know your values, but it's then you can really connect with actually what is aligned, what something else is aligned to what I'm here to do and what gives me passion. And that's what coaches do, right? So we're talking about ready or not. And we're like, I find it, I don't know about you, I find it easier to coach people than to coach myself. It's just like, and as coaches, we do have to do that, right? I think we might have mentioned it before. We do have to do that, and coach each other as coaches as well, and keep that kind of up. We're like everyday people as well. We have our ups or downs. I know some coaches that also have therapists as well, because go to counseling, because we are everyday people just like every day that we train. But yeah, I was just saying it was mental with that recruitment person, because yeah, Tony Robbins has a million pound people pay to go see him, and he's one of the, well, he is probably the biggest well-known life coach in the world. So it's mad. And interestingly, I had a recruitment coach, because I at the start of the year wasn't sure if I did have a job or not. Lots of restructures. It happens quite a lot where I work. And so I just went and got some recruitment coaching. And when I said to her, this is what I want to do, I'm a life coach, I'm accredited. And she says, interestingly, I have a younger person the same, and she's going through a course. But she was like, it's in the title, life coach. But her attitude was, the recruitment coach, is that girl she was too young and didn't have enough life experience. Now, yes. And I was just like, but that's not what life coaching is about, because she's not telling people what to do with their life. That's a mentor giving advice. A coach does not give advice. A coach is literally guiding you and exploring with you what is your true value, what are your true values, your whys, and then helping you set goals and actually achieve more than what you have today, and jump and any blockers that are in the way. So it was like, yeah, no, as a coach, I wouldn't be a coach if I was telling you what to do, if I was if I was advising you like a mentor would. A mentor also is a very specific, they actually have the job that maybe you want, or the level of the job and they kind of guide you and tell you what they did and their perspective. Again, a coach would never do that. So again, it's just, we go back to the people's opinions and what you said about, are people ready? And that's just one person's or two people's opinion. And actually you found, wow, they really were. I think as well as people that like music, hey, they're open to a lot of different types of music, right? Regardless, it might be so different, but I love that you got that experience of like, yeah, actually, we really enjoyed that. And then you got to talk about some of your favorite composers and stuff and the music that you sing.
I mean, what you just said, you've just touched on so many things that I've just had to note. Is the first one is this person saying that this lady was too young to be a coach because of the life experience. And if any one of you is listening and you've been told you're too young or too old, absolute rubbish. I mean, for me,
BS. Let's just be brave and call it as it is.
Bullshit.
Bullshit. Right?
Yes,
it's a Janie Mac moment where you go, Janie Mac, you.
Janie Mac, that is bullshit. If anyone tells you you're too young to be ... or too old to be ... bullshit. And I was just thinking, some of the best question askers, and that's what coaches do, you have to come up with questions that will lead the other person to their answer, and you have to come up with great questions. And some of the greatest questions I've been asked have been from children. Really, truly.
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
spend a day in a school with like, primary school
oh,
children, so like from the age of like 4 to like 10 maybe, right? And then I mean it goes up to 12 obviously, but like the really young ones, and like just ask them, so what do you think a coach is? They'll probably tell you it's a bus. But like they're so logical. The world has not like gone in on their brain and destroyed it, right? Like,
no. And children are able to tell you, so why are you doing this if you don't like it? And you'll be like, oh my God, And
yeah.
same with the age. I mean, I was in my early 30s and I was obsessed with dancing and Zumba. And I made friends with a lady who was 76 and she would just dance us to the ground. I mean, we were all like catching our breath and she would be like, what's going on, girls? So
Yeah.
these are two things, like age bullshit. And another thing you said with are people ready? I also remember when I was teaching German and I had this traumatic experience of working in a language school that actually told me that, and that was in Cologne, Germany, even though I was a native German, people weren't ready to be taught by a Black German teacher.
Oh wow.
And I had two choices. I could have stuck to that school and they would have given me the English classes because um like my physical appearance went with um what people would expect from an English teacher more than a German teacher. But I was like, but German is my native language. It's not English. And so I changed schools
Mm,
and I got so many classes. I changed schools and I told them, look, would you take me on as a German teacher? And they're like, why wouldn't we? And so I could have listened to that feedback, like people are not ready for a Black German teacher and just stuck there. But I just went, and here's one thing. If you tell yourself something like people aren't ready for me, people aren't ready for what I have to offer, um, this thing that I'm planning is not going to work, your brain goes actually out to look for evidence
yes.
so that you can convince yourself. So it's always important to know, what do I want evidence for? Do I want evidence for that I and the skills that I have or what I have to offer is needed or not needed? And then your brain goes out and looks for the evidence. But if you tell yourself, this like people are not ready for what I have to offer, then you will get the evidence for that. So it's
Yes.
important to be clear on, what do I want evidence for? And the other thing that you touched upon that I really want to wholeheartedly leave our audience with is, get clear on your values and
Mm,
then create a life, whatever it takes, create a life that is alongside your values, because being out of touch with your values is, I think, one of the main reasons for creating misery. Whenever people say that I'm not happy with my life, with what I'm doing, and so on and so forth, you will find it's because they're living a life that is not in alignment to their values, meaning what matters most to them. And then when you know what your values are, you owe it to yourself to see, okay, how can I now create a life that is in alignment? So, for example, one of it is traveling and seeing the world, and you're a teacher, um, and you can allow yourself to maybe see, how can I combine teaching and traveling, or working and traveling?
mm,
So important, because sometimes you'll feel miserable maybe because your day looks the same. But maybe
mm.
if you got in touch with agency or with individuals, or worked out um like a plan where you could be teaching in, I don't know, 2-3 countries a year, things would change. But
Yeah.
even if things look impossible, you owe it to yourself to really try and get your life as aligned as possible, if not totally aligned to what you value most. If, for example, your value is family, and you're a person who has to travel a lot for work. And I've had people actually from the singing, how do you say, from the world of music, tell me, I stopped touring because my family is so important. And I was having that success performing on those big stages. And then in the evening, I'd be alone, miserable in my hotel room, and it
Mm.
wasn't worth it. And people told me I'm crazy because everybody wants that career. But I figured that I wanted time with my family.
Yeah, and interestingly, you say that because I recently read a quote from 50 Cent, who accredits his career to Eminem.
Mm.
And he said Eminem would have been sold out concerts like worldwide as big as Taylor Swift, only for he had a young daughter and in the end ended up adopting his two nieces as well, took three
Oh,
daughters. And he said he just didn't tour as much because it's very important for him to be at home with his kids.
oh,
And yeah, yes,
I
I
know
know, right? Did you not know that
Eminem
about
right
this
here.
one? I know there's like he's so controversial, but these are
Oh,
yes. And also he has a thing where he's in the studio and he treats it like a 9 to 5 apparently. So he starts at 9 and finishes at 5, and he's gone at 5 in the middle of something and he'll just go. And his work ethic is that, like, he's a huge
really?
work ethic, but again, because he wants to spend the time with his family. Now they're fully grown now. His daughter just got married there. Um Two of them actually have recently got married. And yeah, so I just think it's amazing, right? So but he's look that he was able to make such a huge career, it didn't matter, right? He's the only
Wow.
rapper in history that has for platinum, I think, is over 4 decades for platinum #1 albums. Um, like mental, right? Absolutely. But so you can still have success and maybe just compromise a bit, right? You don't have to. And that's another thing that the world will tell us, won't they? Especially as women, you can't have it all.
Mm,
I'm not saying you can. I'm definitely not saying that you can. There has to be some compromise, obviously, when you have kids and stuff. But I think if you have a good community and a good, around you, what is stopping you from fulfilling your
yeah.
dreams? And I think that's another thing we get told as well as women. Totally. I do need to do one thing, right? Because you mentioned about the attraction. And if you have all this negative energy, it's almost like if somebody says to you, spot the red car, right? All you'll see is red. Right? So this is called the reticular activating system, the RAS system, and it's an organ that sits just at the base of your skull. And basically, it's almost like as well when you're saying affirmations or that manifestation. Basically, what it's doing is if you can tell yourself, right, you're going to have a good day. Today is a good day. Your brain will look for things that'll make that a good day.
Yeah.
So, it's almost so that's just when I'm like I love to bring a bit of the science to it. So yeah. So
Yeah.
I really try and you know what, just having this conversation has also reminded me in a way to look for those positives, and then your brain will just follow. And it's a practice like everything else. Just keep doing it. Try
And
it.
you,
Please try it. Think of so the next time you're like, oh my God, the train's late. Hate getting this train. Oh, I get to wait for this train today. I get a little bit more time to myself before I have to get into the office or I have to start my day. Great. And I have an excuse for being late this time. Right? So
it was
it's
the
like,
same.
yeah, turn that around, reframe it. Another technique in coaching and NLP particularly. Reframe it and reframe your thinking. So yeah, I just think, and you know what? The world is always ready for something new and something different. And
Yes.
that is you, because you are the most unique person. Because if we go back to our very first podcast, which is a quote that you love, but we do have some others. Be yourself because everybody else is taken. And
Yeah.
honestly, by Oscar Wilde, and that is what it's about. So again, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes. Ask ahead.
Are you like the Fugees now? Ready or not? Here you come.
Yes. I think it's something definitely because I recently, so in this, when we do our coaching trainings, and I know this is how you and I met, we're always encouraged to practice without peers. And I recently had this conversation with one of my peers where I was in a place of doubting, and she was like, how does it feel to think of maybe parking the coaching and doing something else? And immediately it was like, no way, no way, no way. So she reconnected me to my why. And sometimes when I'm in this space of doubting, it's when I'm in the how zone. Like, how am I going to make this work? How is this ever going to pan out? And so on and so forth. But the why, make sure you connect with your why, even several times, especially when you're an entrepreneur. Connect with your
Mm.
why, not just once a month or once a week, several times per day, because you may have a client call and the client ends up saying no after you've poured out so many. Like, I remember this book, one of the books that I loved was Believe from Jamie Kern Lima. And I know she just brought out another book, Worthy, which I haven't read, but she was saying how she would pour her heart into presentations for her cosmetics, and then people would just say no. And this woman, if you see her now, it's like she was so connected to her why that even like sleeping in a parking lot in her car to go to the next presentation wouldn't stop her from being like, this is what I want. I want women to feel pretty in their skin. I want women, because I think with her it was rosacea that she had, and she ended up just creating makeup that would help her like feel good when she was on the screen. And and she ended up doing this for so many other women who now, thanks to her, feel good in their skin, with
Yeah.
the makeup. I mean, that's another conversation. Do you need makeup or not? But that's another conversation. That was her why and her mission. And she's done many women a favor, because they're thankful that she stayed in the zone. She kept fighting. And yes, there are days of crying, there are moments of crying. Make sure you have this network around you,
Mm.
this person you can call and just cry and be like, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't want to continue. And then by the end, when you hang up, you're like, okay, ready to go on. But definitely, yes, I feel I'm in this moment of ready or not, here I come. Because how long are we going to stay masking who we are, trying to be conventional and to conform to the world, when we were, I believe, I mean, that's one thing, that's my personal belief, that we were created. We have a creator. In my belief, it's God who made us the way we are, with the values and the skills and the interests and the curiosity and whatever that we have. Are we going to spend our life just masking that?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
my final
Definitely.
words.
Yeah. There's so much, and I think over the last few days, as we've been talking, has come up for me in the last few weeks, actually, really quickly. Just like, even just when I say really quickly, like just literally like months of just feeling rubbish, and then all of a sudden, in the
Mm,
last few days, it's like that's why I do that. Oh my God! And I'll tell you, it's normally from when I look back at something in my childhood. That's another conversation too. So
yeah.
watch that space, and that's where we bring in our neuro linguistic programming, and we have to do like a session on that, right? So yes. So we've got two quotes for you guys.
Yes, we do.
And thank you again for tuning in to Jenny Mac Has Your Back. But the two quotes just before we finish there. So one is by Winston Churchill, and he gave it at Harrow School in England in 1941. Success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And the other one is Martin Luther King, and he gave a speech at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. I'm guessing that will be in America in 1957.
You
Keep
think
pushing
so?
forward. I would imagine, yeah. Keep pushing forward, even when the path is uncertain. For greatness awaits those who persist. And it just ties in with what you've been saying.
Amen.
And keep going. Amen.
The Baptist Church. Wow, I love those. I love those quotes, and hope that you guys have also enjoyed this time, and keep pushing, keep creating, keep being you, keep doing you. Because what
Ready
everybody
or
else
not.
is taken.
Yeah. Listen to the Fugees song Ready or Not when you're feeling a bit.
Exactly.
Cool. Bye, everybody. Till next
Bye.
time.
See you in the next episode. Bye. Now, off you go. Do what you do best, which is you.
And Janie Mac the world.